let's move on to AEW. All right, so last week I made a new rule that because AEW has been struggling and they're not really listening to the fans about what they got to do to improve, that I would only give them 5 minutes on the show. But today there was a very interesting thing that happened. There was a promo battle between MJF and my favorite wrestler ever, Jeff Jarrett, which got a lot of talk on the internet. So before we do our 5 minutes of AEW, I'm going to do 5 minutes just for this angle, just because I want to get some opinions and thoughts from you guys about this. So, Vlad, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock
for
MJF and Double J. But, okay, I'll just summarize real quickly. I don't want to, show what happened because it's kind of long. But basically, I think how I would summarize it is that Jeff Jarrett went at MJF with MJF's own medicine, right? Saying just whatever the most insulting thing he could think of. And he called MJF's mother and sister call girls, basically. It was very awkward. It sounded very weird. It didn't sound natural. It sounded like he was just trying to say something, with shock value to me. But and then after that, MJF used Owen Hart because he was saying that Jeff Jarrett is using his friendship with Owen Hart to, gain publicity and that he shouldn't do that. And then that's when Jeff Jarrett popped him and they had a pull apart. And then MJF, Karen Jarrett, Jeff's wife, came out to try to stop the whole thing. But MJF grabbed her for a second and then ran away. So that was the segment, if I could describe it as best as I can. Vlad, let's get your thoughts on this historical segment between these two legendary figures.
Oh, man. Yeah, this was very cringeworthy to me, I have to be honest. Like I said, they were trying to recreate some of the magic that MJF has had previously in his promo battles with Punk. He's had some stuff with Cody. I mean, he's had legendary moments in AEW career, I would say. This was not one of them. This was just ridiculous. Some of the stuff they were saying back and forth to each other. It was just, what? Like, who okayed this? Like, who was the agent on this one? Like, when they went through the stuff that they might potentially be saying to each other, or did they not? And or is there no agent? They just went out there with whatever they had, I don't know. It came really weird from Jared as well. Like, it didn't sound like something that he would say. He was like, say something about like
Jarrett, you mean, right? Because
Jeff Jarrett. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jeff Jarrett. Unfortunately, my audio might cut off. Okay. For Jeff Jarrett, it sounded very strange and very weird because
it's not him. He's not that kind of bad guy. Even when he was a bad guy, he was just trying to show like, hey, I can hang with MJF. Hey, you want to just throw insults at each other? I could do that too, I guess. And it was interesting.
It was interesting, but it was very cringe and it was not good. I didn't like the segment at all. I know it went so long. I'm like, somebody call for the bell. Somebody do something. Can somebody end this thing? It's over. You guys you were both awful. Get off the TV, Jesus. There were some elements that were okay. Like, I didn't mind the Owen Hart thing, like using Owen Hart as a thing in an angle. I mean, they've used Eddie Guerrero before in angles. I mean, just because a wrestler is deceased does not mean cannot be used to get heat.
Yeah, but was Jeff Jarrett even really friends with Owen Hart? Like, I've never heard that before, that they were close buddies or something.
I think they were when they were both in WWF together at that time. I mean, they were tag team right before he died, right? So I mean, they were.
Okay, I didn't know that.
All right. Yeah.
All right, well, let me move on to Robert because we only got a minute and a half.
Yeah. Sorry, I've taken up all the time. Go ahead, Robert.
Okay. Promo battle, MJF and Double J.
I remember I think I gave this, I reviewed this as a half thumbs up, only because I actually found some of MJF's lines entertaining. Only MJF's lines, but Jeff Jarrett, oh my goodness. It was very bad. I'm like, wow, why? Like the stuff that Jeff Jarrett was saying to him, I'm like, is that the best you got? I mean, some of those insults I don't know, man. He tried to throw a bunch of haymakers. None of them were landing at all. He was missing bad. It was not a good look for Jeff Jarrett. I don't know. It was very, very bad. But
All right.
I got a few laughs from some of the stuff that MJF said, so that's it.
All right, that's cool. I mean, what can I say about it? I mean, I will say I'm disappointed. I mean, I think very highly of Jeff Jarrett, even when people kind of thought he was ruining wrestling in the late 90s. I thought a lot of his work was pretty amusing and, entertaining to me, so I was a Jeff Jarrett defender even back then. But this, to me, I can't defend, and I'm sorry. And I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that this will be part of his legacy. Like, it's his last year. I want him to have good segments and close off his career really well. But this wasn't it. And it's sad. It's a little sad to me. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just the AEW Dynamite segment. But okay. All right. Moving along. Let's move on to the rest of Dynamite. All right. So now I'm really going to give 5 minutes just to everything else on the show that happened. This was January 15th that we're reviewing. Once again, we have our review ready already in the YouTube posts. I'll put a link in the description again. This was Maximum Carnage, by the way. So we already have reviews for all the storylines, and we're only going to discuss a few of them or whatever we have time for today. So here's the main points I got. I'll put 5 minutes on the clock, and I'll let you guys decide whichever ones strike your fancy that you might want to discuss. So Jon Moxley retains the title for the Death Riders, the world title, and he defeats Powerhouse Hobbs. That's one thing that happened. Ricochet, a segment that I liked, again booed mercilessly by this crowd, poor guy, and then he gets attacked by Swerve and Nana and gets left laying humiliated. And then what else? Omega and Ospreay also left laying by the Don Callis family, humiliated. Hurt Syndicate, a positive. They were in a trios match. Even MVP was there. He was wrestling. They picked up a win. And then in the first ever women's casino gauntlet match, in the first ever women's casino gauntlet match, Toni Storm picks up the win. And there was a new wrestler. What was her name? Something Megan Bain or something.
Megan Bain?
That sounds right.
So she looked great, and then Mariah May was selling for her, which Mariah May can't sell because she's an awful actress, apparently, from what I see in this scene. But okay, so she acted very afraid of Megan Bain, didn't really want to deal with her. So, all right, this time I'll start with Robert. So there's 4 minutes left. I guess I'll give you a couple minutes, and then we'll switch to Vlad. So whatever you want to go to from any of these topics or any other topic that you want to talk about, I don't really care.
Okay. So this episode was called Maximum Carnage. I didn't see that much carnage this episode.
Oh, it was more carnage on Collision, but yeah.
Oh, then that one should have been called Maximum Carnage, but okay.
It was. They were both called Maximum Carnage.
Well, I
guess I would have known that if I had watched it.
You didn't see enough carnage, Robert? What about
Oh, okay. There's some
Jon
carnage there. Maybe that match had some carnage.
I'm showing Jon Moxley all bloody, but yes. All right.
Well, so the Moxley and Hobbs match, the result was very predictable. I didn't expect Hobbs to be the one to take the title off him. Also, Toni Storm winning. I'm glad she won, and she's still playing the amnesiac role apparently, which I think is hilarious. Speaking of roles, I saw her in a trailer for a new movie coming up called Queen of the Ring, so maybe that explains some of her why she was absent for a while. Well, can you go back to the list?
Oh yes. Here you go. Hurt Syndicate, Ricochet. And basically, Omega and Ospreay, I guess, are teaming up against the Don Callis family. So anything of those strike your fancy or anything interesting to you there?
Not much. I remember Omega and Ospreay getting beat up, but prior to that, I forgot what happened. Oh, but the Ricochet segment was hilarious.
Well, Omega came back and had a match with Brian Cage, his first match.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then Ricochet was getting booed mercilessly, and he said the line, "So that's how it's going to be," huh? to the crowd after listening to them boo him for like 2 minutes straight, which I thought was fucking hilarious. I love that segment. But all right, let me jump to Vlad. Vlad, anything from these topics that you want to discuss from Dynamite? You got a couple minutes on the clock.
Sure. I mean, The Ricochet stuff, I have to disagree with you guys. I thought it made him look really weak. I mean, okay, he's getting booed. That's fine. But then Nana comes out, the manager who's one of the weakest managers of all managers because he's always getting his ass kicked, lays him out with a chair. Are you kidding me, bro? Okay, they really do not give a shit about Ricochet. Like, they really, they must think he's a piece of fucking shit. You know, that's what I get from that.
This is gonna make him more of a heel, man. This is gonna make him go crazy.
Who gives a shit at that point? Okay, he already looks like somebody. Why don't they just shit in his mouth, as Cornette would say? Well, he's down there, you know. Anyways, the other thing, Hobbs. Losing. I mean, I don't think Hobbs should. I don't really understand why Hobbs had a world title match. He hasn't. I mean, to me, he's great. I love Hobbs, but he's never been pushed. He's always losing matches. He lost to Takeshita at their last.
Well, he lost because of interference. Let's just get that straight. Marina Shafir nailed him on the head with a briefcase.
I understand that, but he shouldn't. I mean, I don't know. I wish they could actually do right by this guy because he actually looks like somebody that could really blossom in the right situation. Just based on his look, and he's not a bad worker for a big guy. So it moves quite well. But they could, I don't really understand what they're doing with him. But okay, he got a title match. Obviously, he was not going to beat Moxley. Moxley had one of his usual junk matches and all this crazy interference that happened. It was what it was. I mean, I'm not a fan of Moxley. He was bleeding. This time he was bleeding differently. Hobbs pulled off the earring, right? That's what happened. And that's why he was bleeding. I mean, God, he just... every time I see Moxley, I just get enraged. I'm sorry.
You know, I see a lot more and more people mad about this Death Rider storyline. I see people, please end the Death Rider storyline. Please just end it.
I hear all that too.
I'm personally getting sick of that. I am so sick and tired of hearing people bash on this Death Rider storyline. Because I think people are looking at it.
Let's end this. Let's have somebody beat Moxley. You said it like a couple of weeks back. I remember it. So why are you sick of it?
I've changed my mind. I've changed my mind.
Hell no. Oh, hell no.
Listen. Okay. We're all looking at this Death Rider storyline. We're all looking at this Death Rider storyline the wrong way. Let me explain it to you. Because everyone's thinking, oh, this is supposed to be like a dominant stable that's like NWO and coming in and running roughshod. No, that's not what it is. This is actually the story of an aging veteran who didn't want to take the reins and responsibility of teaching the young people that they need to take this seriously. But he said since no one will take the responsibility, he will take responsibility. And he's old. If you see him getting his ass kicked by Powerhouse Hobbs and running away, but he's doing his best. Why do we need to end this storyline? Nobody else is coming up with a storyline. There's no rule that says anyone else can't come up with a storyline. Anyone can come in and beat the shit out of John Moxley and Death Riders and take over. Hurt Syndicate can, which I think would be a decent way to end that storyline or continue it. And, you know, once Hurt Syndicate is ready. But I don't see this hatred for this storyline. At least he's trying. At least he's trying to come up with something. If MJF went up to Tony Khan and said, hey, I have an idea. I want to lead a stable and I want to take over AEW. Tony Khan would probably be like, fuck yeah, that sounds great, but nobody else is doing it. John Moxley's the only one who actually fucking had the balls to do it. So I'm defending John Moxley from now on. And that's the bottom line, all right?
I'm not going to even comment because it was so ridiculous. It came out of left field. You've been shitting on this whole thing for like weeks, and
but that's because I was looking at it the wrong way. I see it now for what it is. He's an old guy, and he's doing his best, and he's using it. When we look back on this historically, it's going to be amazing. We're going to be like, damn, this guy was winding his career down, and he gave it all for AEW. All.
What the hell are you talking about?
Oh,
how is he giving it his all when everybody hates this shit? People turn the channel off when they
someone else come up with something better then. No one else is fucking... Wait, Tony Khan can't come up with anything. It's up to the wrestlers. MJF and CM Punk came up with all their own shit. You think Tony Khan came up with any of that? No, man. This is a company for the wrestlers. It's freedom of creativity. Someone come up with something. All right? So
I'll give you that. I'll give you that part.
All right, well, that's all I have to say. I mean, I haven't submitted my Collision review yet, but I didn't think that 12-man main event was as bad as people thought it was going to be. I actually enjoyed it. Vlad didn't like it, I don't think. Oh, and that Texas death match. We didn't get that in our 5 minutes of AEW for the week, but I'm a big Christopher Daniels fan, and he was showing people how to do wrestling on that night, man. That's how you do it.
Get the hell out of here,
He was
bro.
teaching them a lesson, teaching these young guys a lesson, baby. But,
Yeah. Sure,
and then,
teaching them how to blade, huh?
God, yeah, for real. Fuck, how did he do that? But okay, if you guys have anything else to say, I'll let you guys go, and we'll see you guys next week, probably.